Okay, so waiting for my computer and my phone to update. So while I'm doing that, I think I'm gonna work on a topic. So I'm gonna kind of get into that. So today I'm gonna talk a little about. No, that was a terrible intro. That was a terrible intro. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And today I was really thinking about this last night, and the thing I'm really I really started thinking about this last night, and so today I really wanted to talk about this a little more, and my experience working with Lilith. Now, Lilith as an entity is known by a lot of people come at this from more of a religious perspective. A lot of people come at this from more of a sexual perspective, and but Lilith as an entity is known by she's known as a goddess in one part of the world, and then in the Abrahamic religions of from the book of Adam and Eve to the book of Enoch to the other texts that make up the Bible, Lilith became known as the mother of demons, the mother of demons, the demon of dead children, the demon of lust, goddess of the night, queen of the night, things like that. And my particular perspective, my experience, what I've experienced, just without even a full evocation or without any actual communication, but on just simple meditating on the sigil of Lilith, just meditating on the sigil of Lilith, and just contemplating on her, just contemplating and meditating within her presence without any communications or evocations or anything, but just simple respect and simple, no good now, but a genuine interest in who she is, and a thirst for knowledge, a lust for life. The thing that I experienced just on a simple meditation, that just a simple meditation over her sigil, I noticed a very gradual change in my perception. And now, I've always had kind of like, I've always been kind of shallow. I understand I've always been shallow. I've always appreciated a beautiful woman, and I've always kind of looked at like a woman who's not so pretty, and I'm like, eh. I've always been kind of shallow. The change in my perception is I no longer see ugliness, but I'm appreciating the beauty of nature and the beauty of like not just a woman's beauty, but human beings and a beautiful image, human beings as a beautiful image, and I'm like noticing things differently. I'm appreciating things at a deeper. I'm appreciating things at a deeper level, and this deeper appreciation is just activating kind of a thirst for me, and it's very gradual, and it's like a very slight shift that I've noticed, but it's from before I started considering working with Lilith to now. I've noticed kind of a total mindset shift, and that's without any official full evocations or anything. So that just kind of goes to show you that there's power in these entities. There's every one of these entities that we speak of have a great power, and the sigils that represent them also have the same power. But then again, sigils, especially the sigils that you kind of create, it only has the power that you put into them, and the entities that you let the entities that you let into your reality, into your life, they only have the kind of power that you give them, whether through your fear or through your respect, through your unbridled love or your worship or your simple respect. The power that they have over you and the power that they have within your life is pretty much the power that you give them. Not that you as an individual is so powerful that you decide how powerful they are, but then again, that's not saying that you as an individual aren't powerful, because the whole idea of what magic can do and what witchcrafts can do for someone, the power for you to change your life exists within here, and so you are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. That's really why, which is fair to talk about, like with demonic possessions and people who experience poltergeist activity. A lot of times when there's a certain energy presence that a person isn't familiar with, and it comes out of some kind of fear of what this presence is, what do they want, and that's why a lot of those feelings or a lot of that energy can turn angry, turn violent, if because it's the perception of the people who are experiencing that energy. They're not experiencing it from the people experiencing that energy are experiencing it from a place of fear. And that's why a lot of times kids and little children are more susceptible to this, is because their brains are that pure innocence of a child, and that they don't necessarily have a fear of the unknown, or any fear or shame or any dogmatic religions putting anything on them. So that's a whole separate discussion for another time. The thing I find interesting about who Lilith is as an individual entity is much like a lot of when you start studying entities of the darkness, dark entities or whatever, a lot of these entities have similar qualities, where, like the story of Lilith is, she refused to be subservient to Adam or her husband, or to man, or to humans, or whatever. She refused to be subservient, so she goes off on her own. No one ever really talks about Lilith openly. The story of Lilith is interesting. Why anyone who was putting together this story, they never gravitated toward keeping Lilith in the story, because she chose to go off on her own. So for that reason, she gets made into an evil mother of demons, and made demonized all throughout history. From what other people have studied, she's the same entity in multiple cultures, known by these different names. So really, the name Lilith is almost an insulting name. Like, to refer to her as Lilith would be insulting, because that's the name that Abrahamic religions gave to her in order to demonize her. And the reason why they demonize her is because she refused to be subservient. So it doesn't really make any sense, which that would make sense why anyone who was putting together the stories to go in the Bible, they wouldn't want to choose that particular one. Maybe it's because of my upbringing, but I still like the name Lilith. It's interesting to look at who she is as an independent individual entity. There's still a lot that I have yet to find out. There's still a lot that I don't know. But I find it interesting the more I study her. I keep saying her. One thing that's interesting is all these entities are known by pronouns him or her. And it's not that they have a gender. It's not that one's a male or female, but all these entities have either more masculine traits or more feminine traits, more powerful feminine energy or powerful masculine energy, and that's not necessarily a male or female. That's not really a male or female thing. Describe this using a human construct, really. If you strip away all the fear and the lies and the things that aren't particularly true, then it gets very fascinating to think about who. But then if you go deep enough down, you get to these unanswerable questions where that's all any of us are trying to figure out is what's the meaning of life? And these are unanswerable questions that we're never quite going to figure out. It's fair to talk about Adam and Eve and everything when we talk about Lilith, because the whole story of where Lilith came from is Adam's first wife. I still have a theory about Adam and Eve. When I was really young, my first theory was that there had to have been multiple Adams and Eves, right? That was the mind of a child. My first theory was there had to be multiple Adams and Eves scattered all throughout the world. But later I started to think, Adam, what if the name Adam was never meant to be a human, but this is just Adam and Eve was more just names that humans had to use to describe something more an energy plane, and atom as in ATOM instead of ADA and stuff like that. I'm not even completely sure what I'm thinking about, but I was thinking about something, and I think that kind of makes sense, but I don't know. Adam and Eve and Lilith and God and all of these entities on an energy level, these beyond form and void, because when we all think about these entities, our first thought is we put a face on them, and we give them a body, and we give them a voice. We have our face, our body, our voice. These entities are a form of energy that, like strength and power, wisdom, that rest above any plane of consciousness that we can even conceive of. So quite possibly the story of Lilith, or the goddess that she's known as, the story of Lilith, or the goddess that she's known of on most of the world, she's quite possibly the wife of another energy that separated them. Much like anything in any of the spirituality, it's a form of darkness separating from light, and that separation. And I think there's some. I think that's pretty much it. I'm still figuring a lot of this out, but I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that, so that's pretty much it. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.